about how I wanted to write this healing book because I knew it would help other people heal in a way that was easy to do. And so with their, not insistence, it was more like just do it, just do it and get it on with it basically. I did it. So I finally did it. It took me a year, but we made it in record timing, I think, considering. I even quit my day job so that I could sit down and just be an author for about 8 weeks to really push it out there. Yeah. So I'm now free falling into authorship, and but still doing my beautiful healing work. So as Lisa said, I'm a quantum healer, but I do quantum healing hypnosis. And I don't know if people know Dolores Cannon, but that's who I was trained by. So most of my work is in that area. I've been a Theta healer for 20 years, and a lot of my training came from that about 20 odd years ago. So that's where I began my healing journey. I used to do it as more of a private thing because I felt that it was private, not public, and that I would stay doing my counselling and my professional career until about probably 2016, 17, I realised that my calling was getting stronger to shift out of mainstream counselling and working in that old paradigm and to shift into the new healing paradigm. And that's when the magic happened and everything else opened up. Now in 2019, I, let's call it struck down, I got a mystery illness. So overnight I couldn't walk, both my legs were swollen, like I'm not just talking swollen, but my knees were the size of rock melons. I was in extreme agony and I had a fever and I thought, I don't know what's going on. I went to the doctors, they couldn't work it out. They started doing tests as they do. And the end result was a series of long-term chemical interventions with no known outcome. There was about 4 different autoimmune diseases that had shown up on their test results, and as I said, most of them were considered to be long term, and because of my age I would have some of them for the rest of my life, and also some of the genetic stuff that my mother had that was also a criteria for me to be permanently unwell. So with that knowledge, or the information I should say, I decided that didn't resonate with me, and I chose that was not going to be my story. And I remember thinking, who says that just because my mum had this that I have to have it long term, or who says that just because it's showing up in my system that I can't clear it and that I have to go down that road. So I thanked the doctor for her information, and I just said to her, I'm going to do it myself, which of course she was not impressed with. And I remember thinking, oh shit, you've really put yourself in it. Now you have to rise to the occasion and do this and see where you go. So I think in the beginning when I went home, I thought, wow, that's a big challenge. But I thought, you know what, you've got enough knowledge, you can do this. So I took myself out of fear very, very quickly, and I worked on the premise that every day was a day for me to take on a challenge and perform and just live in the present. So I lived every day in the present, and I began using my old Theta healing knowledge to work on myself. At 4 a.m. every morning I would wake up and I would begin to meditate for an hour, mostly to do with pain reduction, because I can't even take painkillers and I can't take all of those Nurofen. So I was in extreme pain and I had to work out a way to reduce the pain for the day just so that I could get through the day. So I started with the healing of reducing pain and inflammation. And while I was doing this work, I started to receive messages. So what I received was that the pain and the inflammation was about anger, and it was about so it was stored anger that I needed to do. Then I began to receive more information about the fact that it was in my legs, it was me not moving forward, but also I had past traumas that needed to be healed, because when we look at the body, our left side's about our past and our right side's about the present going forward. So as I began doing the meditations, and I don't know if you people are into a greater power, it doesn't matter what you call it, I began a communication or a dialogue with this higher power, and I was getting instructions on what to do, but not like a whole series of instructions. They were tiny little droplets of information for me to try and activate and to see how I went. And along that way, I realised that I was being taught a new modality or a new method of healing, and that eventually it would reveal itself to be the Metaphysical Healing Meditations, which was the only words that came through about what that was. So when we talk about metaphysical healing, I'm not sure if you're aware, it's more about looking at the emotions that you carry or your traumas that you carry and how they manifest into the body physically. And with that, how to tap into those past traumas or how to tap into the messages that your body's given you in order to understand them and then release them. And once those messages are activated, then you can release that from your body because it's no longer stored there. So it's like saying, I hear you, I understand, and I will take the action necessary. And so with that, over a 7-month period, without any interventions, I just did my meditation every day, and I would start to set not deadlines or goals, but goals of envisioning myself as walking freely, enjoying my day, and just being present in every day. And I remember thinking, if the worst case scenario is that I don't get to use my legs again, then what else can I do? I've got the rest of my body that I can work with, and that body is still in wellness. So how can I activate the things I love while my body is, and I always said it's temporary, so I always say this is a temporary experience, this is not the whole story. And so I began looking at things in my day that were joyful, and I would just go and do those things. And on the days that I couldn't move or I was in too much agony, I would stay home and rest. And I began to praise my body and my legs and give myself so much nurturing and love that eventually my body started to respond. And over the 7 months period, I cured myself, and I went to the doctor walking, and she was like, wow, that's amazing. And that was about it. So she didn't really want to know how, but I was proud of myself for committing to it, because I knew that the outcome was an unknown and an uncertainty. And if I allowed myself to get fearful, I would have shut down the process. So I just remained in positivity. And I learned that my mind was the most incredible, powerful tool that I could have ever discovered. And through the meditations and what we're doing, we're connected to the higher power, is you're opening up a beautiful portal for that healing to come through you. So even though you're doing that for yourself, you're allowing this energy, this universal energy, to actually work through you. And it doesn't matter how you identify that or how you see that, it does exist, and there's an essence that is so powerful and beautiful that it's like a bliss state of knowing that even though you're unwell, it's a beautiful experience to be able to join in with this process and try it for yourself. So then we came to the metaphysical healings, and I was like, well, what do I do with this information? And I knew, or let's just say the message was, you have to put it out there. So I began to put it out there as a course. So originally it was just a course for people, but I was doing some online, I was doing some with the Cancer Foundation in Busselton. I get invited to run day courses there, and that was wonderful, but it wasn't reaching enough people. And for me, anything that's free knowledge, because this to me is free knowledge. This is not just ancient knowledge, but it's free knowledge, and it's innate for us to learn. I thought I have to put this out in a way that everybody can have it, but how? And that's when I spoke to Lisa and Mark, and they were just like, just write it, just get it out. And then that process prompted me to translate that information into a way that everyone could understand. I needed to make it simple. That was the requirement or the mission. Make it simple so that everyone can understand it. And so we did that. And then bless Lisa and Michelle, my beautiful editor, we were able to put it into a format that not just was telling a story about my life and my life's journey, it was also telling you how to do everything step by step with the instructions, and also with your own exercises and reflection, so you can work through yourself and integrate that process exactly how you need it. a try. And I'm hoping that the language I've used is simple enough and understandable enough, because that was quite a task to translate something that's innate knowledge for me into a language that was tangible for everybody. Otherwise, it just becomes another elitist type of document that only certain people who can understand the language get to use it. And I think that's already been done many, many times. And I don't know about you, but I've read so many healing books, and sometimes, and I love them, but then it just gets a book that puts on the shelf and then I never do anything with it. So it couldn't be one of those books. It had to be an interactive personal journey book as well. So there is some about my own personal life story, because not only did I unlock the healing of my physical body and my traumas, a lot of the trauma that I'd gone through as a child was still sitting there. And I had done a lot of work around that, so I didn't even think it was needing any attention. But what was coming up was that certain people in the past needed to be forgiven, and I needed to let go of them, and I needed to heal those wounds with those people. I do include the forgiveness work because I think it is the clearing of what I call karma and karmic debt, or karma going into the future. So I always say, if you don't want to carry this forward into the next lifetime, get it done now. And this is the whole idea about this, is clearing whatever you can in the process now. And I always say, when it comes to healing, not everybody will choose healing, and that's okay. I work with people who want the concept of healing but don't actually want to heal. There are certain benefits or reasons that they don't. I know it sounds really illogical, but when we look at benefits of being unwell, sometimes there are benefits, and they actually hold that person apart. Or they're not willing to give up, for instance, the anger or the relationship that they're in, because sometimes it could be a relationship thing, and they're not willing to give that up, so they remain in unwellness because they cannot release. And that's okay too. There's never any judgment around that. We all get to choose that. And I always say, then you get to come back next time and try again. It's okay. I think what this allows people to do is give them the sense of powerfulness, because it's a sense that it's power. Like when you can empower yourself with an idea that illness comes my way or disease comes my way, I don't have to freak out about it. I can go, okay, I know how to do this, and I'm in charge, and I get to choose. And that revelation for me was pretty amazing, that I get to choose when and how I want to experience these things. And anything you do come into contact with, just look at it as an experience and an opportunity to learn something from, because you will always learn something amazing from that experience. And I think the whole time I was going through it, I had a lot of gratitude. I had a lot of joy around the experience of it, not because it was fun, but it was just teaching me so much valuable knowledge that I knew I'd never have learned about if I'd never had the experience. And then, of course, the duty for me was to heal myself and then to go out and heal other people. So that's pretty much how it went. And yes, I did release all the trauma from the past, and I did release those people and sent them off on their journey to say thank you and let them go. And that process was probably the most challenging, because we don't know how to do it properly, but this one's a really easy way, and it's actually really uplifting. So everything you get to do here is uplifting, and you get to talk to your body, and you get to talk and communicate with every part of yourself, and you form up a little community, and it's pretty amazing. And so I hope that if anybody does want to try it, or at least be open to experiencing something that's not mainstream, then I would highly recommend even learning some of it, just to see how it works for you. It's literally just doing meditation, and you're doing that whether you're well or unwell, you can do that. You can still do this alongside medical treatment. That's not a requirement to not do medical treatment. And again, when I do a lot of stuff with the cancer clients, cancer patients, some do continue medical, some do alternative. It's open. There's no restriction. It's just giving people an opportunity. And that, in a nutshell, is it. Sorry, ramble on. I could go on and on and on. But I love my work, and I love this, and I'm so excited, and I'm so happy to be able to share this with everybody. So get out there and heal yourselves. You can do it. I can trust you.
Thank you.